You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major!
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Almost Major, where we talk about the many major studios and the films they release. Today we are starting off our FilmDistrict miniseries, starting with a bit of a bang for Red Dawn 2012. My name is Kevin Tudor. I'm here with Charlie Nash.
Hello.
And Bryden Doyle.
Hello.
And yes, we are starting out with Red Dawn 2012. Why did we start with this?
Because you wanted to hurt us.
Well, yeah. Some people could start big and then, end with Red Dawn, or just throw that in somewhere else. No. This is where we're starting. I'm sorry. Is next week's episode? Go ahead.
It's funny too because we were I think we chose this double feature just sort of on the spot when we were doing our live stream of the New Line rankings and everything. But I think I'd forgotten to tell you guys or something that because I think we switched around some stuff and the pairings and everything. I was Red Dawn was originally paired, I think, rather flimsily with just another remake that was in our slate, which was the Don't Be Afraid of the Dark remake. And it's well, guess we're doing Playing for Keeps alongside this for now. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark will have to wait.
I didn't have a choice. You just told me.
Yeah.
And then I said no, and then Kevin showed up in my house with a gun. And
Look at the two Joshes for 2 hours. Do it.
Yeah.
I will say that also this miniseries was supposed to start in December. I'm sorry, I'm working too much and could not. The time that I did have off, I didn't want to sleepwalk through an episode. And also, we are all just working. But most importantly, I was working 6 days a week, 13 hours a day. So,
plus the holidays happened.
Yeah. Would you rather listen to Red Dawn episode in the middle of January or December 25th? Come on, okay? Escape from your family. Listen to Red Dawn episode.
Jesus.
We will be getting started with FilmDistrict, which we are covering 14 movies, I believe. 14.
Yeah.
It was 15 with Where, but Bryden says I don't like Werewolf. Yeah, whatever. Well, I'm pretty sure it was Relativity. I think it was direct-to-video also. It was a double whammy. So before we get started, we will do a little recap on just what FilmDistrict was. FilmDistrict was a mini-major film company that lasted from August 2010 to September 23rd, 2014. And the films we will be covering for this miniseries are Insidious 1 and 2, Dead Man Down, the remake of Oldboy, In the Land of Blood and Honey, Pompeii, The Rum Diary, Safety Not Guaranteed, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, Parker, Olympus Has Fallen, Drive, and today Red Dawn, and next week Playing for Keeps. Like I said, we were going to do the Werewolf 4 movie Where, I believe, from William Brent Bell, our finest auteur, but yes, that is direct-to-video, and then the remake of Evil Dead was technically put out by TriStar, I believe. FilmDistrict was founded by Bob Burney, who now runs Picture House, and Peter Schlessel, the CEO of the company at the time, in partnership with GK Films' Graham King and Timothy Headington. FilmDistrict's website from 2012 speaks of them as, quote, focusing its efforts on wide-release films from prominent filmmakers with notable casts, and their, quote, independent...
one of those. As opposed to all the other studios that don't do that.
We set ourselves apart, okay? And also, when you look at their slate, it's just damn, guys, and their independent ownership structure allows FilmDistrict to be innovative and agile in today's ever-evolving and competitive marketplace. They were defunct 4 years later. They planned to distribute an average of 6 to 8 films per year. I did some quick maths. They put out 5 in 2011, 5 in 2012, 5 in 2013, and 1 in 2014. Their last movie was Pompeii that they put out, and I believe their first movie they put out was Insidious. They acquired and released movies from GK Films and Sony, even partnering up with TriStar on Soul Surfer and Looper, among others. In 2012, Schlesser closed a 3-picture distribution deal for their 2012 to go through Open Road Films. Open Road eventually released Lockout. Any of y'all seen Lockout?
Yeah. I know a lot of critics called that movie jokingly Space Jail.
Wasn't it supposed to, kind of be Escape from, LA-ish.
It is kind of, because it's the president's daughter who's been kidnapped, and he has to go into like a sort of an overrun by the prisoners space prison. And he's like, the loose cannon. That's Guy Pearce. Yeah. Maggie Grace is the kidnapped president's daughter, which is a real Europa Core touch, because she was also forced and taken. Yeah.
I was about to say, who produced this film, Bryden? Let's see. Bryden lovingly did a outline of some cool stuff that happened with FilmDistrict. I'm just reading through here. Christine Birch joined FilmDistrict as marketing president in 2012. She was a former DreamWorks marketing chief. Long stints in the marketing department of Sony and DreamWorks, where she orchestrated the marketing campaigns of The Help, Real Steel, and Warhorse. Also worked on the Paramount release movies Disturbia, Tropic Thunder, and the Transformers trilogy. She stepped down a few years ago, I guess, whenever FilmDistrict defunct. She went just to Sony, and she stepped down as Sony Pictures domestic marketing head in 2018. She resigned after a 2-week probe into her workplace behavior, including reports that she smoked marijuana at the office. I'm sorry, your boss was cool and you wanted to fire her? That's okay. Official word of her resignation came down from Sony marketing chief Josh Greenstein on Wednesday, who said Birch originally approached him about resigning in January, so 3 months before. In late March, Variety reported that Birch's marketing subordinates had filed complaints about her behavior, including that she vaped marijuana during work hours, despite numerous warnings to stop. Again, your boss is cool? Like, she was smoking too much weed and was really just, like, very relaxed at her job and was not, the type of CEO to, throw things at people and shout at people. She was just like, fuck it, I don't fucking care. Like, put out...
Jumanji, welcome to the jungle.
Yeah. What if there was Jack Black... You know what? I got a great idea. In 2025 on Christmas Day, what if Jack Black and Paul Rudd remade Anaconda? That would be a cool idea. And then I'd be like, get her out of here. And somehow that's... Dick. Speculation that the press leak likely came from Birch's staff in an attempt to force her resignation. Mention of Birch's, quote, recent successes like their record-setting Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle and Spider-Man's Homecoming. Have any of y'all seen the Jumanji duology? Have you seen
I've
them?
seen the first. I saw Welcome to the Jungle, and I was like, well, no.
How about no?
The first one wasn't even a beloved childhood staple for me, but I was also kind of a fraidy cat of a kid who only watched that movie once, and that movie just freaked me out as a kid. So I really didn't have any nostalgia to even, morbidly. I mean, I guess not morbidly. Those remakes or sequels didn't get like totally trashed, did they? I don't know.
I feel like people were like damning those with faint praise, and then like that's how it made like, well, not how it made. I mean, criticism doesn't necessarily lead to money and everything, but it was like, I think the Welcome to the Jungle made like $1 billion, and I was just like, that bums me out. And also, it's Jake Kasdan, who like did a lot of Freaks and Geeks and did Orange County and Lockhart the Dewey Cox story. I'm just like
Zero Effect.
Yeah, I'm like, he used to make stuff.
Yeah, look at you. You used to be beautiful. There was also an article that Birch has 30 plus years of marketing experience in Hollywood, often as one of the only black executives at a studio. And they said, you know what? We don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like what makes like the thing of like people complaining about her smoking weed at work. It's just like, that's like really like you're going to like complain about that. I feel like that's not like that serious in the grand scheme of things. And it's also just feels extra loaded when they're going after her when she's, like penalizing her for like when she's a black woman in like a largely white studio. It's just like, yeah, it's super shitty.
How about you get rid of like the guys way past their prime that like are aggravated assaulters and like scream at people on the phone all day? But she smoked weed a few times, so get her out of here. FilmDistrict hires Jim Orr as president of distribution in 2012 in April. Orr has more than 2 decades of distribution experience, held positions at MGM and Paramount Pictures. At MGM, he oversaw releases in the United States and Canada, including Hot Tub Time Machine and Valkyrie. Has anybody ever seen Valkyrie outside of history class?
I saw it in theaters. I remember being very bored by it. I don't know how I feel about it now. And I don't know that I really want to revisit it,
No.
given it's Bryan Singer. Hot Tub Time Machine is like, I know, beloved by our friend Mitchell Beaupre.
It's a fun movie.
It has some fun bits in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen Valkyrie. I saw Hot Tub Time Machine once, and then I had to review the second one, which is terrible. But the first one does have its moments.
Let's see. The Film District buys U.S. rights to Dead Man Down in 2012. The single significant acquisition of Cannes Film Festival by Film District, which also acquired the film Oculus. But Relativity ended up putting out Oculus, another company that was on its way out. This Variety article says Film District bowed out because of something to do with releasing the film wide. I wonder if that's has anything to do with it. That movie is also distributed or produced by WWE Films. Weird.
Right, that's Dead Man Down is WWE Films, right? Yeah. And wait, Oculus 2? Is that WWE Films as well?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
Yeah. I think those were, besides like very wrestler specific movies of the 2010s, like Fighting with My Family and whatnot, those are like really odd that they did that, because every other movie they've produced or whatnot has always had like a wrestler involved. Oculus just got a mirror. Like, that has nothing to do with
That would be funny. It's
anything.
like, let's fold this mirror like laundry. Just like take it, like trying to body slam it.
And then Focus Features is pretty much who absorbs Film District, and they bring in Peter Schlessel to replace James Shamus as the CEO in late 2013. Current CEO James Shamus, who co-founded Focus Features more than 12 years ago, will leave the company to concentrate on Ang Lee's next film, which he is producing with Lee. It's about boxing in the 1960s and 70s, which has never came out. So I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, and for listeners at home, if you don't know, James Shamus was like a guy who wrote like a lot of Ang Lee's early movies. I think including like, this is not one of his early movies, but he wrote like Hulk, which is very interesting guy. Yeah, I would like to see that Ang Lee boxing movie though, if that ever comes out. Sounds good. Yeah.
Who wrote Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? I know it's like Ang Lee and somebody else, I think. Like somebody...
James Shamus wrote it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And he did The Ice Storm.
Yeah.
And Lust Caution. And...
I need to watch Lust Caution.
And he wrote...
Lust Caution's good.
And he wrote and directed the Philip Roth adaptation Indignation on his own. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Oh, yeah. One time I got you out with Cinephile with that movie, Kevin, and you claimed it wasn't a real movie.
It's not.
And then...
Brian said that, and I just nodded and agreed, but I have no idea what he was talking about. But yeah, late 2013, October is when it was announced that Film District will be shut down as a distributor, and it's expected that most of the roughly 45 employees will come over to Focus. Film District films set for release after January 14 are absorbed into Focus Features. Schlessel will try to broaden the types of films that Focus distributes and increase the number of films it releases as many as 10 films per year. Upcoming Film District movies named in the article that wound up not being Film District projects: That Awkward Moment, saw it in theaters, and Self/Less, which I don't know what that is. The latter, which came out a year after they were scheduled.
Selfless is the Tarsem Singh directed movie where Ben Kingsley is dying of cancer, I think, and he's told by Matthew Good, like, we can give you a younger body, and he gets the body of Ryan Reynolds, and he finds out he has someone else's memories. And then he ends up being chased by a bunch of people.
Remember we tried to make Matthew Good a thing?
That started off sounding not good, and then just gave me more instructions to, like,
We tried to make Matthew Good a thing, but outside of Lost, that man did not work anything. It just didn't work for anybody.
That's Matthew Fox. Matthew Fox is Lost.
Who's Matthew Good?
Matthew Good is Ozymandias in Watchmen and the uncle in Stoker.
Ozymandias. Okay.
Who, instead of playing Ozymandias with any type of enthusiasm, played him as, I can't take credit for this, I think it was someone from the AB Club who was like, it's a Richie Rich, like, built a secret lair in Antarctica and was very bored.
Well, the thing about that is he plays it like, he's evil from the moment you see him, so it just kind of ruins the movie.
Matthew Good, Matthew Bad.
Matthew Bad.
I mean, he has been good in certain things.
Stoker, I think he's really good in that. Yeah.
Stoker. I don't know. I haven't seen A Single Man in a long time, but I remember him being in that.
Let's see. And then Peter Schlesinger of Focus Features exited as CEO in 2016. And Bryden, let's go through the Focus Features that he did in those 2 years, because I want to see if he made up for his promise of broadening the types of films that Focus distributes.
Do you want to start from like 2014? Like okay.
That Awkward Moment. Let's go. Saw it in theaters. Bad film.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters. I think I saw that the same weekend as Labor Day, the Jason Reitman movie. So I was just eating.
Good Lord.
And Bad Words, the Jason Bateman directed spelling bee movie. which I thought was fine at the time. It's probably not great.
That's not what I think
there were
of.
good movies that came out that year.
Well, too bad. Wasn't seeing them.
Walk of Shame, which is the Elizabeth Banks, James Marsden movie, which I think is on Film District's website. If you like go back on like the Internet Archive, like as they were gonna put that originally, heard it's terrible. The Signal, which is along with Oculus, people are saying Brenton Thwaites, get this guy in the lead.
Yeah, they tried to make him a thing for a long time.
I will say the movies you've listed so far are not exactly movies I think of when I think of focus features. So
you're right. Wish I Was Here by Zach Braff, maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen in a theater.
Okay, but maybe he shouldn't have brought in the length of focus features because nothing you've listed is good.
The Box Trolls, I Am Ali, which I think they say is a Focus World movie. I'm reading off Wikipedia.
Box Trolls was fine.
I've never seen
probably
it.
That's probably the best movie you've mentioned. I mean, I saw it back in the day. I can't tell you a thing that happens in it, but
Oscar nominated for Best Animated Feature, so that's something.
I mean, that doesn't take a whole lot. But.
True. Kill the Messenger, which I weirdly kind of like, the Jeremy Renner journalism movie.
That movie. What? Oh, that movie's boring.
I kind of like it for how downbeat it is. A good cast in it too. The Theory of Everything, the Eddie Redmayne movie, another Oscar play movie. Oscar win because he wins Best Actor. And then Mr. Turner, the Mike Leigh movie. I've never seen that. I haven't seen a lot of Mike Leigh movies.
That is far and away the best movie we have talked about so far in this lineup.
We haven't talked about Red Dawn. Come on.
Black Sea, which is a submarine movie with Jude Law and Scoot McNairy. Gotta watch it. 50 Shades of Grey. Maps to the Stars, Mr. Right, which is Max Landis scripted assassin comedy with Sam Rockwell and Anna Kendrick.
Dude, get this guy out of the studio. This guy sucks.
Maps to the Stars, though, fun. Underrated
But
Cronenberg.
did they do anything with that movie? They put it in two theaters.
They let that movie sink to the that movie, they dumped that thing in like February. I mean, Julianne Moore won Best Actress at Cannes for that movie for a deliciously over-the-top performance that I adore, and they didn't do shit with it. So,
keep going.
I need to see it. I need to see it. I'll watch it in a little bit. Five Flights Up, which is I think a play adaptation with Morgan Freeman and Diane Keaton as a couple in their apartment. Insidious Chapter 3. Sure, they were grateful for that, which I know then I feel like a movie has a bit of a weak reputation, but I know it then kickstarts the Winall directing stuff, which is cool.
What was it? 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, that's Universal. That's not Focus Features.
Oh, right. Yeah. What is it? What's the addendum that they have here? Co-production with Mike DeLuca Productions and Trigger Street Productions, distributed by Universal Pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
imagine
sorry, I
if
should be saying
Focus
that.
Features put out 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
No,
I should be
gotcha.
reading some of these addendums. Yeah, Little Chaos, which is Matthias Skenner's Kate Winslet movie. That's Focus World film, U.S. distribution only. Selfless, which we mentioned earlier. Cop Car, the John Watts, Kevin Bacon movie. That's Focus World. Sinister 2, that's U.S. distribution under the Gramercy Pictures label. A movie that is unfortunately titled Trash. That is a Focus World movie.
You've not listed a single film I want to watch.
Oh God, Suffragette was
We're
awful.
ending with a banger, a movie that I know everyone loves, The Danish Girl. I'm kidding, I've heard that movie's awful.
That's the worst one we've named yet.
The Danish Girl and the Theory
a
of
few times already.
Yeah,
the
but
Theory
I mean
of Everything
it
and
this
the
time.
Danish Girl are like the only movies in there where I'm just like, oh yeah, of course Focus put that out, but everything else I'm just like, this is slop, dude. Like, you suck at your job. Like, you did better picking up movies for Film District. At least there was variety there. This just sucks, man. Get him out of here. Wow.
And that was the end of his run. I mean, because then 2016 is Race, the Stephen Hopkins directed Jesse Owens movie. He's out by that point, right? Like, it's
that movie has more cred than like anything you listed in the past like 2 years. Wow. Well, Godspeed. I don't think he's dead, but Godspeed. Last thing here, Olympus Has Fallen and Insidious were bought in Film District's library deal in 2020 by a company called Content Partners. That's who you want to buy your things. And then I think most of the other stuff Sony owns the rights to, and then like some Focus Features own some of the rights, because most of the stuff was a co-production with like TriStar and Sony, so I'm pretty sure they own all the rights to that stuff. So
I think Focus Features used to mean something.
Truly. What was
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Far From Heaven and
I want to just go down Focus Features now. Jesus. If we ever do Focus Features, can we just skip 2014 to 2016?
I wanted to do stuff before it became Focus Features. That stuff sounds interesting.
Yeah, like October films and what's the other
USA.
thing? USA, yeah. And then like Focus Features, maybe like when does Focus Features start? In like 03-ish? Something like that, like 03 to maybe like until there's like a big movie that they put out, and that would be our capper. But anyways, Red Dawn 2012. Okay, Red Dawn 2012 premiered at Fantastic Fest on September 27th, 2012. It was actually the closing night movie of Fantastic Fest, just send people home happy.
The dawn is coming, is what they say.
The end is fucking nigh. Released on November 21st, 2012 in 2,725 theaters and maxed out at 2,781 theaters and debuted at number 7. Budget of this was $65 million. Opening weekend made $14.2 million. Domestic gross of $44.8 million and overall gross of $48.1 million. Top 5 films that weekend. Well, now that we're doing, for the first time in this podcast, doing movies in the 2010s, we have a very, very high probability of seeing these movies as adults also. Top 5 films that weekend, The Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn, Part 2. Skyfall, Lincoln, Rise of the Guardians, that's a fake movie, and Life of Pi. Rise of the Guardians, that I don't know what that is.
That is not a real movie.
It's about like all the holiday characters like working together, I think.
Sure.
Oh right. Oh yeah.
I was typing that up and I was just like, oh yeah, the Zack Snyder Owl movie, and I was like, oh no, it's not that.
I've seen all of those except Life of Pi. Lincoln I didn't see in theaters. I only saw that this past year. Yeah,
I'm surprised that the only ones I haven't seen are Rise of the Guardians and Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. But I do have a funny story that a bunch of friends of mine who attended a press screening got drunk beforehand, and then the next day when they had to write the review, one of them texted the other saying, "Shit, was that in 3D?"
Number 1 song in the U.S. this week, One More Night by Maroon 5, and I'm sure I heard this working at Best Buy at the time. I don't know. And number 1 song in Canada this week, Gangnam Style by Psy.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Oh, brother. Plot description from Google. When North Korea troops invade U.S. soil and take over the city of Spokane, Washington, because I'm sure that's where they'd start, a recently returned Iraq War veteran and a group of teens flee to the woods and form a band of freedom fighters. Dubbing themselves the Wolverines, the youths launch guerrilla attacks against the invaders, but how long can they sustain the fight in the face of the enemy's superior numbers and firepower remains in question. That's right. Based on the 1984 film written by Kevin Reynolds and John Milius, adapted by Carl Ellsworth, also wrote Disturbia, Last House on the Left remake, Red Eye, and Unhinged. That's kind of a good track record. What happened?
Yeah, Disturbia was a very important movie to me when I was a kid.
And Jeremy Passmore, directed by Dan Bradley. This is his only directed movie, more known for his countless stunt-coordinated work with 134 credits. Starring Chris Hemsworth as Jed Eckerd. No. No. That's not a real name.
Jed Eckerd.
Wood Freer. Yeah, all of these names are fake. You know him, but prior to this, he did 194 episodes of the Australian soap opera called Home and Away from 2004 to 2007. There's an actor on that show that has...
For a second, I thought you were going to say he made 194 Marvel movies, which also would have been applicable.
Yeah. There's an actor on this Australian soap that has done 4,717 episodes of this show. Holy fuck, dude.
I hope you're living comfortably. If they're a good person.
Dude, if I'm in 4,700 episodes and I'm just like, dude, can I borrow $30? I'd be like, get the fuck out of my face. Dude, you're on TV every fucking day. Was also in Cabin in the Woods in 2011, which also had its problems being released like this movie, which we will get into in trivia. Josh Peck as Matt Eckerd. Prior to this, lest we forget, Snow Day 2000. This just reminds me whenever we were talking about The One, and Charlie was very flabbergasted that Jason Statham's name was Detective Funch. We're like, that's not his name. I was like, that is his name. Detective Funch. Josh Peck, prior to this, lest we forget Snow Day 2000, Max Keeble's big move in 2001. I wanted to see that movie so bad in second grade.
Another big movie for me when I was a kid.
Yeah, I wanted to see that,
That one-
so bad in second grade. Never seen it. Spun in 2002. Mean Creek in 2004.
Great movie, great performance, as I remember.
That's his best performance, right? It's Mean Creek.
Well, after this, hold on. Havoc in 2005. I still need to watch that movie because it sounds fucking ridiculous. And I just want to know how Barbara Crampel came to do that movie. It's always very interesting when documentarians are like, I'll do a narrative movie. And it's always just like, what happened? Like, what happened? Like that Joe Berlinger with Blair Witch 2. Like, what happened?
Back to reality.
Drill Bit Taylor in 2008.
Another big movie for me when I was growing up. Saw it
Jesus
twice
Christ.
in theaters.
Yes. I forgot to write a review for Tesso the Iron Man when I watched that. I was going to call it Drill Dick Taylor. Never mind.
Also, you reminded me that he was in Snow Day real quick. Isn't like there a scene in that movie where fucking Chris Elliott ties Josh Peck to his snowplow in that movie?
I never saw that either. I'm surprised. No.
I did, and I didn't like it that much as a
I
kid
may
because
have rented that.
it's not a very good movie. Believe it or not.
I mean, I wanted to watch every Nickelodeon movie that came out, but I feel like I watched like none of them. Besides like Clock Stoppers, which was in rotation, like how rappers had Scarface on at MTV Cribs. Like that was just on all the fucking time. Drill Bit Taylor, yes. After this, did y'all know they did a reboot of Turner and Hooch with him on Disney Plus in 2021?
Yeah.
Dude, I had zero idea.
Yeah, I didn't know. I did not know that.
I was like, are you fucking kidding? No, I'm just kidding. I made that up. Actually, I didn't. It happened, I guess. Josh Hutcherson as Robert Kittner. These are not teenager names. These are not
teenager names.
They're not.
Robert Kittner?
No, that is a serial killer from the 70s. That is not Josh Hutcherson. Prior to this, episode of ER in 2002. Bryden, have you gotten to this yet? Season 9, episode 8?
I have. I need to pick up the 7th season. Damn.
Yeah, season 9, episode 8. American Splendor in 2003. The fucking Thora in Little Manhattan in 2005.
Oh, very important movie. Well, definitely Little Manhattan was a very important movie to me as a kid. Oh my goodness.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a movie where he's like a little kid who reconnects with someone who he was like friends with as a toddler, and he falls in love with her, and he's in the midst of his parents, Cynthia Nixon and Bradley Whitford, getting divorced. I remember thinking it was a really sweet movie when I was a kid. Yeah. Yeah, kind of like a movie about like, adolescent heartbreak. Yeah.
Okay, but was this movie from 2006 important to you? RV, a true where were you when this movie dropped?
I mean,
moment?
I saw that movie. I didn't think it was good even when I was like 8. But I know some people I think really liked it when they were kids. Yeah.
Might have mentioned this on the pod before, but I bought a ticket to that movie and snuck into United 93.
Wow. That's
With
wild.
friends.
Imagine somebody buying a ticket for United 93 and sneaking into RV. It'd be like, RV's sold out, man. I gotta watch it. What if they had an RV? Why is it on that hill?
Or if they they thought they were going into United 93 and they walked into RV and they were just like, I thought there was an airplane.
Be like, is Josh
Jesus
Hutcherson
Christ.
taking over this RV? What's going on?
I remember also a couple of years back, we were talking about Robin Williams' like career of like when he was like, he would go serious. And we were talking about The Night Listener and joking about like, how we were all going to like watch that movie. And Jack said something. I think it was our friend Jack Draper. Jack Draper said like, he was talking about like 1 hour photos from one of those movies where it's like, hey, his dad was like, hey, you want to see Robin Williams not be funny? And then I quit back. He should have been like, hey, you want to see Robin Williams not be funny? Here's RV. Zing.
Who's the wife in RV?
Boy. Isn't it Cheryl Hines?
It is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Jesus
And then
Christ.
JoJo, yes.
And Jeff Daniels is like a guy he meets on the road, I think. Yeah.
That tracks.
Directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Yeah.
Wow.
Woof.
Bridge to Terabithia and Firehouse Dog in 2007. Good Lord Almighty. Pacino in the 70s found shivering in the dark.
Saw Firehouse Dog in theaters. Bridge to Terabithia, which has him and Anna Sophia Robb. And the fact that both he and Anna Sophia Robb were in genre movies I saw last year, with Hutcherson being the bad guy in Beekeeper and Anna Sophia Robb being in Rebel Ridge, it was like a real like, what year?
Oh, yeah.
like,
She
what
was in
year is
Rebel
this?
Ridge. Yeah.
The Kids Are
Yeah.
All Right in 2010.
Where he plays Laser.
Laser. Okay.
Yeah, but that is part of it's at least a joke in the movie. I like that movie.
I haven't seen that, but I'll watch it. Detention in 2011. The Hunger Games in 2012. Truly one of the worst directed blockbusters I've ever seen. Catching Fire is fine, though.
Catching Fire is a step up.
Oh,
that's
it's
for
a
sure.
huge step up. You're
Yeah.
like, holy shit, y'all
Step
actually
up to the
tried.
streets.
Jesus.
Sorry, I'm really punchy, guys.
Good. We need everything to distract us from the fact that we got to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's in 2023, which I unfortunately watched, and The Beekeeper from last year. And I will unfortunately be watching when he makes his return to Five Nights at Freddy's 2 later this year. Don't cry for me, I'm already dead.
You don't have to
Yes,
do
I
that,
do.
Kevin.
You don't
haven't
have
seen
to do
Smile
this.
2.
They're both on a list of needing to watch, okay? I don't know what to tell you. It's
That game, I will at least give it this. That game, Five Nights at Freddy's, does give me genuine anxiety. Never saw the movie, but the game, it does,
I've never played it, and I can't really separate it from like grown men screaming at it in their mom's basement on YouTube to like really separate it as an entire thing.
I didn't know that was a whole
That's
reaction.
basically how PewDiePie like got it started, just like screaming at Five Nights at Freddy's, and that just became a whole genre of like just screaming at horror games. So,
Wow, that's gross.
also starring Andrea Palicki, Isabel Lucas, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan shows up.
And Connor Cruz, son of Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, it's like the cast just were like,
We need
like
a strong adult to follow us.
Well, it's like he was trying to escape from the movie and the cast found him an hour in.
Literally in the woods.
They're just like, damn it, we almost got out of this movie, guys. Yeah. He clearly does not want to be there, and who can blame him?
I will say, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's a pretty good actor. He does appear in a lot of shitty movies, unfortunately.
I did find one award that this film won. No, it's not the Razzies. That's just cruel and unnecessary. I'm not going to bring that up. At the 2013 Alliance of Women Film Journalists for the EDA Special Mention Award, it won sequel or remake that shouldn't have been made. Okay. Tied with Total Recall remake. Okay.
Saw both those in
God, that
theaters.
came out the same year?
Yeah, that was an August movie. Yeah.
Well, good
Directed
thing
by
these
everybody's
movies don't
favorite
exist.
director named Wiseman, Len.
I need to go.
Wonder if Wiseman would do a 15-hour documentary about Len Wiseman.
He did a 15-hour documentary about the Total Recall remake.
Somehow it takes place in a library for some reason. We started this with our intermission. I'm going to keep on rolling with it. IMDb weird keywords. Reference to Arizona, sure. Slime House? I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. Propaganda? You don't say. Cabin in the Woods? Hey. Reference to Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Who's searching that? I only want to... Honey, we have to watch something, but it has to have a reference to Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
I mean, I feel like that's a few degrees removed from me, like being like, I like this band. What movies featured their songs so I can watch
That's
it?
a bit different. It'd be like, not even like... that. No, you can't even do that with it. It'd be like, what movies feature somebody playing Modern Warfare? It'd be like, why? Like, who cares? Boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Okay. Stealing food off of someone's plate. Okay, that's enough. Trivia. The film was shot and completed in 2009 and originally scheduled for release on November 24th, 2010. It was shelved for almost 2 years due to MGM's financial troubles. In June 2010, the release of the film was delayed by MGM's financial difficulties. The delay came amidst growing controversy in China after excerpts of the script were leaked online. The film drew sharp criticism from the Global Times, one of the leading Chinese state-run newspapers. In January 2011, the first cast photo was released along with news that MGM would release the film once their Chapter 11 restructuring was complete. Red Dawn was one of 3 already complete MGM projects scheduled for release in 2011, one of the other films being Cabin in the Woods, and of course, Zookeeper.
For a second, I'm not going to lie. I know you said news, but it almost sounded like you said nudes. It was released with Red Dawn nudes.
Please put the movie out. Our cast is naked. Like, get us out of Chapter 11, please. In March 2011, the Los Angeles Times reported that MGM changed the villains in the Red Dawn remake from Chinese to North Korea in order to maintain access to Chinese lucrative box office.
Tasteful.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, what's the quote that Schlessel gives in the little?
Well, you have that. I have the film producer also says something on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so on the villain being changed from China to North Korea, Schlessel says it's a villain who people won't disagree is a villain, and I'm thinking, but then it's weird because the movie has the scene where Chris Hemsworth says like, "When I was overseas, we were the good guys. We enforced order. Well, now we're the bad guys. We create chaos." It's like, you sure you were the good guys?
You sure about that?
Yeah.
God, let me say this in a way to not get people angry with me. Yeah, this change, wanting to change this to appease the Chinese movie-going audience, basically just it was a slippery slope to just making mainstream movies as palatable and as less challenging as possible, and we haven't escaped from it yet. So, yeah.
I mean, that's what they say in this Justin Kroll Variety article. It says it sounds like they make it sound like I wasn't entirely clear on this, that FilmDistrict was the one who changed the nationalities of the villains, because it says when FilmDistrict picked up remake rights to Red Dawn from MGM, the distributor knew it had to make some uniform changes. Specifically, itself needs to change the antagonist Chinese army uniforms to North Korean, so the pick wouldn't be banned from the world's fastest growing movie market. That's what they say. Yeah.
Which, I'll get to it, but also, I didn't look this up because I was just like, I only have so much time on this earth. But it's just like the people who they have playing now North Korean people who are typically playing Chinese people. I'm just like, did they actually get Chinese people to do it? Or were they, like, that's a whole thing, you know?
Well, the actor who plays the main bad guy that they're fighting in this movie, Will Gun Lee, who plays Captain Cho, he is a Korean American actor, and it's fun. And then in Olympus Has Fallen, which we'll be talking about later, this miniseries, North Korea is the villain in that one. Rick Yoon is the main leader of the terrorists, and he's of Korean descent as well. So
okay, so at first he was a Korean playing a Chinese person, but then through re-editing they got it right. Yeah,
I didn't even think about that. Oh, my goodness, wow, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Is they basically just changed the nationalities of everybody playing the characters, and it's just like.
Jeez.
Yeah. The changes reportedly cost less than $1 million and involved changing an opening sequence summarizing the story's fictional backdrop, which was a time to sit through, re-editing 2 scenes and using digital technology to change the Chinese symbols and dialogues to Korean. The film's producer, Trip Vincent, which, if you have that name, you have to be a film producer, quote, "We were initially very reluctant to make any changes, but after careful consideration, we constructed a way to make a scarier, smarter, and more dangerous Red Dawn that we believe improves the movie."
That's rated PG-13.
Yeah, relax. Chris Hemsworth gets shot off screen. I will say that was surprising. I thought we were done, and I was like, oh shit. And then how are we going to end it? Oh, well, okay. Did we believe improves the movie in order to maintain access to China's lucrative box office? Keep in mind, this movie was money well spent. It made $3 million overseas. So
I was gonna say, if you look at Film
Round
District's
of applause for everyone involved. Yeah,
I mean, this is the thing. You look up Film District's like page about us, they list like their nearest successes, and they include Red Dawn. I'm like, didn't this movie bomb really badly? I think it even says on the Wikipedia it's a box office bomb. No one remembers this movie well. It's so weird.
Budget 65, made 48. Spent $1 million changing it to North Korea to make $3 million overseas. Which that's not just saying overseas in China. That's everywhere besides USA. That's not money well spent. You could have just done that, and then maybe the controversy of it from China would have made people watch the movie. You could have done an interview, although.
Do any of you remember this even being a thing? I mean, to be fair, like, okay.
I was a very online film guy at the time. I was just like, let me research Red Dawn, a movie I don't care about.
Okay, because I just do not remember any of this.
I remember MGM going under because I was very much wanting to see Cabin in the Woods, and I was like, when the fuck is this movie going to come out?
That I do remember.
Right.
But Cabin in the Woods is a much better movie than this. Oh, yeah.
You're in the Air Force, right?
Marines, actually.
How long are you here for?
A few weeks.
Get to the cabin.
Jake, you take care of your brother, you hear me?
Go now. Why are you still can? Let's go.
If you're seeing this broadcast, you are in a part of the country no longer controlled by the government of the United States.
Boys, I love you both.
But I want you to do what I would do. Kill this piece.
They mess with the wrong family.
How did this happen?
There's a new class of weapon. Everything went offline and never came back. They wipe us out, including U.S. Central Command.
What am I supposed to do?
I'm gonna fight. Anybody who wants to join is welcome to it. We'll hit them on our terms. We're the Wolverines, and we create chaos. We need to steal that weapon.
It'd be the foothold we need and take our homes back.
I can't.
Yes, you can. Relax. And squeeze.
We inherited our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it. For them, this is just some place. For us, this is our home.
Okay, that's all the trivia I got. I'm going to start with Charlie. Charlie, what did you think of Red Dawn remake?
I don't have that much to say, guys. I mean, we talked. It's a bad movie. It barely exists. I mean, I didn't see the original until last week. I watched the original. I thought it sucked, but at the same time, I mean, you can tell John Milius, the director, who's also known for Conan the Barbarian, you can tell that that was this follow-up to Conan the Barbarian after it was a huge hit. It's jingoistic, macho, propagandist bullshit, but there's sincerity there. Like, you can tell that they actually, you can tell that there was passion behind it. And even though that movie really sucks and is pretty much known to be, I'd say the other thing is it's known for being the first PG-13 movie after Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Gremlins scared the shit out of people. So that was the first one to get slapped at that. And I will say, as much as the first one sucks, there's at least actual weight to some of the violence. This, I mean, what are we doing here? Like,
and also,
there's just
also like the jingoistic of the 84 one, it's not so in your face. With this one, it's like fully masked off, like U.S. propaganda. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it's U.S. propaganda, but it doesn't even feel like I know this is going to sound insane, but like it's propaganda that doesn't even care about being propaganda. Like it's sort of there.
No,
it's just, there's no, like, at least if it was like full on, like, we're really committed to this, it would have been interesting if thoroughly, distasteful and even a more like, but the fact that this thing is just so lifeless and just such a corporate product that we should remake that movie that was a big deal in 84 or whatever is just like, what are we doing here?
Nothing like a 28-year anniversary. Just like strike them while the iron is lukewarm.
Well, and the thing about the original Red Dawn is just like, I knew nothing about the movie. I watched it for the first time before this. Yeah, I was also both of these movies I found impossible to pay attention to, like impossible. Like these are two movies.
Have plots.
Well, they're two movies that involve stuff that I could not fucking care about. And even in the original and in this one, there are no characters. Like, especially in the original, I'm just like, how many people are in this shit? Like, nobody's characters in the original. But yeah, like you said, it is better. But these are two, like, no, God no type movies. Yeah, I have nothing else to say other than, yeah, these were like, this was impossible to pay attention to. Like, I could not get invested if I tried. And it is so fucking formulaic. There's an action scene and then there's a quiet scene with all of them talking and Josh Peck looking like he's about to cry. And then there's I don't know, the brothers like get into a tiff because one of them wanted to compare dick sizes and Josh Peck started to cry or something like that. And
they have a dead mom. The character development is like, oh, in this one they actually do meet up at a bar, and then they're like, hey, you're all grown up now, girl I haven't seen since camping. Yeah, the last time I saw you was with your mom and you. Oh, right, your mom's dead.
Okay,
like,
bye.
All right, bye. Yeah.
And also making it sound like, I know sometimes when you're young, like, 2 years can feel like, quite the age gap and everything, but I think in real life there's like a 2-year age gap between Adrian Palicki and Hemsworth, and they make it, he's like, oh yeah, you were stuck with babysitting duty. It's like, oh yeah, okay, sure.
It's the type of movie that's so lazy that at one point Josh Peck is trying to rescue his girlfriend off of a bus where a bunch of people are chained up. and literally everybody else on that bus does not care. Like, it is so clear. He is like, don't worry, I'm gonna get you out of here. Nobody's like, please, me too, or turning around. They're, please, you have to have a key for me. They all just sit there and stare at the fucking bus. Like, not a single person. And I'm like, aren't they gonna be pissed? Like, wouldn't, like, if you were the other person on the bus, like, would at least react? I don't know.
Everybody on the bus is waiting for Drake Bell to come and help them, and they're just like, "Oh, we got Josh Peck. Oh, okay. Oh, well, Bryden, do you have anything? Please help."
Yeah, I was weirdly the one who saw. It's funny when we talk about movies that on the podcast where it's like, you'll sometimes be like a really big movie. It's like, yeah, I was watching this for the first time, and now like we're in the
I'm watching it for the first time.
Yeah, man, I saw this in theaters. Yeah,
how old were you?
I just turned 14. Yeah. But are you okay?
No, you just reminded me I was old.
Yeah, I was in college.
I was
when this movie
19.
came out.
You were
That's
doing
only 5 years. That's fine. You're not like
you were doing
Jack.
cooler things than watching Red Dawn.
No,
I turned
no,
21.
I was not doing cool things. I was seeing Silent House in theaters. Okay.
Oh wow! I actually did see Silent House in theaters too. So you're not alone in that one, Kevin. Although to be fair, I did go see like Zero Dark 30 and Django Unchained and like other movies that were coming out around the time this one did.
Was desperate to see Django Unchained in theaters. My mom would not let me. I watched it a year later.
I remember double featuring Silent House and 21 Jump Street. Wait, no.
What did you end on?
No, fuck that. I did Silent House, 21 Jump Street. No, fuck this. Hold on. Sorry, it was 12 years ago. It was Silent House, Project X, and then 21 Jump Street. That's right.
Okay, at least you ended well, right? I mean, I haven't seen that Silent House, but Project X is pretty lousy.
Was I alone? Why are you asking? You know the answer.
I did that kind of stuff when I was, 19 or whatever too. I think.
Well, that was such a wild time. Okay, 2012. I was 20. Yeah, 20. 20 in September. So it was 1920. And this was back then. I got my license a little later than most people. Like, I just turned 19. I got my license. So the prospect that I could just go 30 minutes away to my favorite movie theater, I would just find any excuse to go, because it was also around the time where it's like, I'm bored. I'm going to go drive in my car that I can drive.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but also back then I cared a lot more for going to movie theaters. So I was just like, what's that? It looks like shit. That's awesome. Let's go.
Yep.
Now for movies that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch that. Yeah, I'm going to wait a month so I can download it so I don't have to deal with shitty people and pay $15.
I have to go outside in -10 weather to see this movie? No, thank you.
I mean, and it's not like back then audiences were so much better, but it's just like, it became cumulative of just not caring and just being like, oh, cool. Every time I'm in a movie theater, I have anxiety because I'm just like, when is somebody going to ruin this for me? And it was like, I could have just stayed at home.
Plus prices have gone up.
Prices and the amount of times around here, I don't have a nice dedicated movie. We have one indie theater, which is nice, but they're not getting everything, But the amount of times where I've had to walk out and be like, hey, the fucking masking is wrong. It's too dark. And they're just like, oh, well, I'm sorry. We can't do anything about that. And I'm like, okay, great. That's awesome. Yeah, I should have stayed home. But anyways, Bryden, you saw it in the theater.
Yeah, and I didn't like it at the time. I thought it was... I don't remember what my thoughts were. Maybe I wrote them down when I was 14, but...
Give me that review. Patreon. Bryden's reviews from back in the day.
I bet there's so many adjectives. And so much plot summary. I didn't like this very much. It's like the kind of thing... It's tough. We're talking about Playing for Keeps next week. And it's one of those things where this is technically the kind of movie I like watching more, probably. Although I have to say, like, I enjoy a good rom-com. But it's just like, this goes by quickly, I guess, because it's like 88 minutes before credits start rolling and everything. And there's like peppers it with like a lot of explosions and gunfire. And the explosions are like, technically like well accomplished, I guess. But it's just like, I really don't think there's anything going on. Like you said with the characters, it's like cardboard.
The Brutalist felt so much shorter than
you said 88 minutes, and I was like, no, it's not. It's 2 hours.
No,
and I was
it
just
is
like,
not.
oh, it is 88 minutes.
Yeah. I paused to do laundry. I paused to get a snack.
Well,
I
okay,
paused to
there's
let
your
the
answer.
dog
That's
out.
why it felt
I
so
could
fucking
not.
long. I mean, it's like when you watch something on Tubi where it's like, this movie's 90 minutes and it's like 3 hours. Oh, right, because all the ads for we got time today or whatever. But
It also doesn't help. One, like, I love action movies when done well, but this type of a very Americanized action film that is more reliant on cuts, especially in the early 2010s. And also, I've been going through Hong Kong and Japanese action movies, which are just like, fuck, it's a religion to them to be the best shits ever. And then watching this was just like lobotomizing myself. It was rough.
It's despairing.
It's really
behold. Yeah,
it's really badly cut together. Like the initial like car chase scene when like they're getting out of town and being chased by like the military jeep.
So bad.
I didn't understand what happened when they had like there's a crash and everything, and like I think that there's like 3 guys in the back. It's Connor Cruise and Josh Hutcherson and one other guy, and somehow like one of the guys gets like flung through a windshield
out.
And I was I don't know what just happened. And also, I guess that guy died, but like it has no impact. It's like he's not a person in the movie. It's like
somebody also dies like halfway through the movie, and they're just like, "You got so and so killed," and I was like, "Who was that?"
It's like and his name was Greg, by the way. But
yeah,
then,
I was like, okay.
And it's like there's like you again, like Charlie, I haven't seen the original Red Dawn, but you talk about there's moments like where the emotion, like the violence, should have like weight and everything. And this movie like just completely throws like complexity out the window, where it's like he looks at it's Josh Peck and he talks to Alyssa Diaz, who plays the sister of the guy Greg who dies. I believe it's what's his name?
Sure.
I want to get his name right. But then like they just sort of look at each other, and then CCR starts playing. They threw up the peace sign, and
Jesus
then
fucking Christ, the CCR needle drops.
Yeah, it's also like even though the original sucks, at least there are things that it tries. Like one of them betrays. It turns out to be like betraying them and like actually leaking their information to other people. And in this version, there's one person who just steals all the food right off the bat and then goes and gets captured and then rats on them. And then and then I was like, well, maybe they'll try and do that again. And then it was like, no, actually one character got stabbed with a tracking knife or whatever. And I'm just like, what? And so they don't even want to deal with like moral complexities of that, because then in the original, they end up shooting the kid. Like one of them ends up shooting the kid who betrayed them. And it's like, look, I don't think the movie's good, but at least it's like dealing with the horrors of war, and like, like you will deal with people that you don't know who to trust, and then, violent consequences. Like, I think it's a load of shit, don't get me wrong, but at least it's like, that's actual weight and actual stakes here.
This movie is just like, wouldn't it be so much fun to join a renegade and fight for your country? You can't really do
Subway?
You can't hold the fuck on. But it's like, you can't do that, but what you can do, enlist. And I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's one of those weird things. They're all like, they're not prepared for this to happen or anything, but then they also are, because they go to the cabin, they have like all these hidden pistols and rifles and everything, and you're just like, what are these guys? And like, I feel like it's like, are they just like kind of like people who are like, yeah, man, fucking doomsday's coming. Like, you got to be right.
It really is a movie where you're just like, okay, so what's the movie? North Korea invades them, and then they run into the woods, and then they shoot the North Korean soldiers with their guns, and then the movie's over.
Well, yeah, it's like one training, like Hemsworth says, like, it's not going to be easy for you guys because I've been doing it for longer, but I'll train you. And then there's one training montage, and then they're already shooting people, and like the next scene,
shooting assault weapons.
They don't give a shit about the psychology of anybody involved and how they are being turned into like killing machines.
Except like it makes them feel fucking cool. Like Hutcherson, like he's looked at as like a wimp because he like shoots a deer and then is tricked into drinking blood. The deer blood, which by the way, why is it steaming when they give it to him in the cup?
That was the one thing that they were like that is a callback to the first movie too, where they do the rite of passage where they drink the deer blood. That is, and then in this one they go, oh, we've never drank that. That was the one where I was like, okay,
yeah.
Like,
why is it hot though? It's like there's steam rising from it. Maybe it's like I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't make sense.
Sounds like somebody hasn't drank deer blood in their day.
Right. But then like 2 scenes later, Hutcherson like guns down a bunch of people from a roof, and he's like, Wolverines, and like raising his machine gun over it. And I'm like, this is fucking depressing. Like,
which
no
in the original,
that's
a huge moment. And in this one, it felt like there was like 5 seconds ramping up where it's just like, hey, audience, guess what he's about to say? And I was just like, oh, fuck off, dude.
Right. And it's just like, yeah. And Hemsworth, like, he's not likable.
He looks checked out.
He's out.
He's not. And he's not.
And
like,
who can blame him? I don't blame him at all.
And his character, and again, it's not just like the politics of it all and everything, but also his character just seems like a jerk and everything. Like even when he's like initially protecting the kids and everything, he says to Josh Peck, like, keep those assholes quiet. I'm like, why are you calling the people you're protecting assholes? That seems like not a good way to build, unity as a group and everything. But then like also like there are a lot of parts of this.
Died and you ran away to Iraq. Like, I mean, that's
Right.
basically what this character is.
Yeah, and
Like,
and there's a point where he gets shot, and Adrian Palicki says like, "Oh my gosh, he got shot," and he's like, "Oh no, it was fine." And this was a few years later, I think, but Hemsworth hosted SNL and did a Saturday Night like video, like pre-recorded sketch.
already did.
Where he plays like a cop who like is chasing after Kyle Moody's killer, and he like gets shot and everything. And then just throughout the sketch, he keeps neglecting getting treated for the wound. He's like, "I got time to bleed. I gotta finish this," the whole way through. And that cuts to him doing paperwork, and like he's so like sopped in blood, is like the papers just stuck. He's like, "It's the job. It's the job." And there are parts of this performance where I'm like, it feels like he's doing like a cranked up version of this to like make fun of these steely action heroes, but it's like played deadly serious.
Chris Hemsworth in this movie reminds me of that one tweet that somebody says people do one tour overseas and then come back and start calling everybody civilians like they're Jason Bourne.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Hold on, we gotta talk about the subway scene. I was like, what the fuck kind of product placement is this? Where the one of the Joshes fucking holds up a subway,
Hutchison and Connor Cruz.
Yeah, they hold up a subway, and I was like, product placement, huh? Okay, this is not as bad as the Dunkin' Donut product placement in Power Rangers, which we all remember. Yeah, and then they run out after stealing from a subway. Which, why would you want to steal from the subway, even in war times? They run out to CCR playing, and I was just like, who is this movie for?
And look, I love CCR. I think I've listened to Cosmos Factory, or maybe it's Green River that I'm thinking of. It's the album I listened to, but it's like, yeah, it's very like, and especially because like they're listening to it on like some sort of pirate radio thing. But it's like, who's controlling the pirate radio station?
CCR is. It should be like how there's I've heard like some karaoke bars where you have to pay like $25 to sing Bohemian Rhapsody. You should have to pay like $5 million to put CCR in your movie.
What should they have been listening to? I'm trying to think of like, especially like politically active bands like Rage Against the Machine or something like that.
No, fuck that. Just play Disturbia by Rihanna. Fuck it. I don't care.
Oh my.
That would kick ass.
And then it's like this parent's like, see, get it? I wrote Disturbia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. And this movie's just like, again, if this was like just like a dumb action movie, I could like maybe roll with it, because it's not like every action movie I like has like the best politics and everything. But this is just like a shitty action movie. I feel like just like every scene is just them like sort of like going into town and then just shooting a bunch of people, and then like
what? I mean, this movie has no politics, which is weird to say. Like, what are these movies' politics?
Yeah, what am I watching? Civil War from last year? Hell.
It's like jingoism without any like actual, America. Like there's just not. It's just
where it's like Hemsworth like saying that he was in Iraq and that like he's now like he was the good guys over there. It's like, you weren't though. Like history is proven. Like I think even then, like yeah, and now like it's like I don't think that's how it's viewed. And like it's just like one of those weird things where it's like, well, we're not going to interrogate that. We're just gonna.
But the people that want to watch this movie, do you think that? No, they think that they were the good guys. So it's not that far fetched. Yeah. But also, if you're remaking Red Dawn, I mean, I'm not surprised by this movie's politics or lack thereof. It starts out at a high school football game, which
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. That would be really funny. Like somebody just walked in 2012 to the Red Dawn remake, not knowing what the movie was about or that it was a remake, and saw the politics and were like, "This is an outrage!" Like, was genuinely upset by it.
I think people. There were like reports of people that like went to see Civil War, and like people like halfway through were just like, I thought this was gonna be rah rah America, and it's just like, it's not that, but it's not anything actually. I don't know. You ever heard the band Suicide? I'm gonna needle drop that a few times.
Oh my goodness.
What else about Red Dawn?
I mean, it's disappointing because some of these actors like are really good in other things. Like I never finished Friday Night Lights, but I know Adrian Palicki was really good on that show, playing Taylor Kitsch's on and off girlfriend, also a girlfriend to Jesse Plemons. Speaking of Civil War, in that show.
The only good part of that movie. He's fucking phenomenal in that.
Chris Hemsworth was amazing in Furiosa last year.
I never saw it. I need to see it. Yeah.
He's terrific. I mean, it's just a nothing burger. There's a reason this has been forgotten by time.
Yeah, they're really, yeah.
Charlie, who's your favorite Chris out of Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, and Chris Pine?
Pine.
Okay.
Good pick. Yeah.
What was the We Were Spies? What was that one movie? What's that?
With Reese Witherspoon?
This
I didn't
Means
see
War.
that.
This
I saw
Means
that in
War.
theaters. Same year as 2012. Yeah. Same year, 2012. Yeah.
What if somebody thought that was an adaptation of Spy versus Spy, which it kind of is when you think about it? What else?
I don't know.
What is there to talk about?
I mean, one thing I will say is the trailer being the other thing I remember most about this movie is that the trailer was set to, just as we were talking about like some of the neo drops like CCRs, like who is this movie for and like what year is this? The trailer was set to Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter, which again is like when's this movie being made? Not 1997, but I
can't use that in a movie. It was already used in Cable Guy beautifully, okay? And also, the people that like Filter and CCR. Worlds apart. I don't understand. Imagine getting lured in with the promise of Filter. I forgot the guy's names.
One ticket, please, for me.
And then you go in and all you get is CCR and get advertised Subway. Speaking of Subway and yoga mats and whatnot, this entire movie is just there's not enough meat in these yoga mats, basically. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at KevBonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at JDoyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CTNash91. Once again, thank you for listening.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description